Welcome to NFL Total Access presented by Nike. Lindsay Rhodes with you on day one of the new league year. Free agency officially open as of 4 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. And the biggest story so far, the change of address for one TB12 headed to TB813. Tom Brady agreeing to terms with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a deal that is expected to be worth up to $30 million a year, which is right in the ballpark of what the Jaguars paid Nick Foles this past year, his first and last year in Jacksonville. Jags trading him today to Chicago, so Mitchell Trubisky has some company in that quarterback room, and Gardner Minshew will be the starter in Jacksonville. Competing with Phillip Rivers for the AFC South title, the longtime Chargers quarterback headed to Indianapolis on a one-year, $25 million deal that'll send Jacoby Brissett to the bench in Indy after 1 year as the starter there. You may have noticed that my phrasing in all of these stories was a little less concrete than it normally is at this time on the first day of free agency. I didn't use the phrase signed with once, and there is a reason for that. Ian Rappaport, what is it?
Yeah, the coronavirus has certainly changed everything in the world, but also as far as how we acknowledge the new league year and the deals that were done. Because players are not allowed to take physicals in team facilities, they're not allowed to fly on commercial airplanes. Clearly, there's so many things that are not allowed in this new world that we are living in. These deals have not become official. And by the way, that includes Tom Brady's deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's done. It's going to happen, but it is not official because he hasn't passed a physical and teams are not allowed to announce it. So at 4 p.m. on social media, what you usually see is teams announcing all their deals with a big celebratory post. Instead, what you saw is the team websites basically citing us, saying reports, we signed or traded for all these players. There's a lot of very weird things in this crazy new world, and this is one of them.
Ian, do we have any kind of idea, and I know the physical thing is up in the air, the medical situation, do we have any kind of idea how far this pushes back this becoming official, these signings?
Well, there is a way to do it. What teams can do is they can have a player go get a physical at a doctor near him in a local hospital. They can also request old medical records from his previous team and have that be okay. At this point, each team is basically handling it on a case-by-case basis, trying to figure out how to get a player in for a physical to make sure that these deals are finalized. But of course, then you run the risk, if it's not finalized, of something, God forbid, happening to one of these players who's agreed in principle, having an injury, say, and then wondering if the deal is going to blow up. It's a very uncertain time.
We have noticed a couple of signings been made official by the teams that already owned their rights. Amari Cooper, official as of today via the Cowboys because they are already familiar with his medicals. So that's why some of these situations are official and some are not. You mentioned Tom Brady and the fact that Tampa Bay has not mentioned him at all on social media because it's not official. Do we know any more today than we did at this time yesterday when we were finding out that he was going to Tampa Bay about why he ultimately chose them?
Well, let's start out with what we know about Tom Brady. He is going to sign a multi-year contract worth almost $30 million per year. It is done. It's agreed to. The language is all good. No snags. It is happening. As far as why he chose Tampa Bay over the Chargers or over the Patriots, first of all, as far as the Patriots, what they wanted him to do is basically to say, I want to play there, let's work out a deal. It just never came to that. Perhaps Brady wanted to be pursued. Either way, none of that happened. So then it was about, is it the Chargers or is it the Bucs? And while they have comparable personnel, there were certainly some draws from both of these teams. What it came down to, more than scheme or more than the coaches or more than anything, was proximity. Brady's from the Northeast, obviously has family still there. It's in the same time zone, and he has to travel less for Tampa than he would if he was in Los Angeles. In the end, that ended up making a huge difference.
Thank you, Ian. We'll get back to you in the event of breaking news. In the meantime, we have some reaction out of Tampa Bay to this big agreement with Tom Brady. Shaq Barrett, who was franchise tagged earlier in the week, sounded ready to stay a while when he spoke to Andrew Siciliano earlier today on Free Agency Frenzy.
With all this money going to the quarterback, is there room to sign Shaq Barrett now to a long-term deal?
Yeah, there's room. They always make some room. And, hey, I'm happy we got a quarterback in Tom Brady, and hey, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Dude, that look on your face says everything.
Yeah, I'm very excited, man. I mean, I just want to get back to winning, getting back to potential championship Super Bowl football, and bringing Brady down here is most definitely going to help our chances a lot.
So that's the reaction in Tampa Bay. How about New England? I'd imagine far fewer smiles up there, Mike Giardi. Where does this leave them?
With two quarterbacks on the roster, one who just completed his rookie year and Jared Stidham, a fourth-round pick, and another, Cody Kessler, who was signed about 3 weeks into the season and is, that veteran journeyman type of guy. I was told that they will add another quarterback, that is the plan, but they're in no rush to do it. And maybe it's a veteran on cheap dollars. Maybe it's another one in the NFL draft, in just about 5 weeks now from where we're at right now. And I think the interesting thing is here, they like Jared Stidham a lot. They think he came a long way in a short time in his rookie season. He got more reps with the first team because Brady didn't practice as much as he has in years past, but he hasn't played. So he is an unknown quantity for sure. Meanwhile, if you're kind of looking at the veteran market and maybe some guys that may be on their way out in other markets, how about Indianapolis? Two quarterbacks the Patriots are very familiar with, and Jacoby Brissett and Brian Hoyer. But now with Phillip Rivers expected to be the guy there, you got to wonder if they're going to move one or both of those players. And certainly the Patriots know each of those guys very, very well. And I'll give you one little nugget. Obviously, Robert Kraft met with Tom Brady on Monday night, and that's when Tom said it's time to move on. Brady also called Bill Belichick and told him of his plans. And I was told that it was not exactly the longest conversation. And that maybe there was a little bit of surprise, I guess. Maybe that's a little too strong of a word, but Belichick was a little bit taken aback by it. But, on good terms and moving forward, Patriots are pretty confident in the guy that's running the program, in Bill Belichick, Lindsay.
Thank you very much, Mike Giardi. So we've got two teams here to break down further. We've got the Bucs' reaction to all of this, what it means for Tampa Bay, and then also what all of this means for New England. And we've got a guy here who knows a thing or two about the Patriots side of things anyway, and Willie McGinest, also familiar with Mr. Brady's thought process in all of this, a longtime teammate with him. We also have longtime NFL front office executive Mark Ross, who's done a deal or two in his time. Willie, he wouldn't have gone to Tampa Bay if he didn't think he could go the distance right out of the gate, would he?
No, I would say Tom wanted to go somewhere where he could go in and be a part of a team that's already established, that has the playmakers and guys around him to give himself, not only him, but his team a chance to win football games. It's always been about winning at the highest level, being productive. And when you look at the roster, whether it's the receivers, the tight ends, maybe adding the running back, the offensive line, the defensive side of the ball, coordinators, coaches, all those things play a factor in it. He's not trying to rebuild. He's going wherever he was going to go was somewhere where he wanted to win. And his expectations has always been to go be the best player he can be, not talk about what he's done in the past, but just start to build and do what he's doing in the future. And he's excited about the opportunity.
Mark, you're familiar with the roster of Tampa Bay. Do you think that they're ready to win? Do you think that they're missing a few pieces?
Well, they have to be ready to win. I think when you bring in a Tom Brady who's so used to just appearing in Super Bowls, that's the expectation here. You're not bringing in a 43-year-old to go 9-7 or get a wild card spot. In my view, this is Super Bowl or bust this year for the Buccaneers. I mean, this is not a long-term rebuild, as Willie said. So they do have to address some pieces where at the right tackle they had Dotson last year. He's a free agent, didn't perform very well. They need to find a running back, that pass-catching type running back that we've seen Tom Brady thrive with, running guys in and out of there, but that guy out of the backfield he can rely on. Also maybe sign an Ndamukong Suh to shore up the front there with JPP and Shaq Barrett, as we just saw. Definitely need help at the safety and corner spots. Need some depth there and some quality starters. So there's some pieces they need to add. They're right in the thick of it right now. But in my view, the expectation is Super Bowl there, and they need to add some more pieces to overtake the New Orleans Saints, number one, San Francisco 49ers, Minnesota Vikings, those type of teams.
Yeah, realistic or not, you add Tom Brady to your team, and the expectation is Super Bowl or bust. Thank you very much, Mark Ross. Want to get back to the other team involved in all of this as we welcome in Joe Thomas, who is a guy who's left some pretty big shoes to fill for a long-term team in the past when he walked away from the Browns. Let's talk about the Patriots. Willie, I want to start with you about this one, too, about the options that are out there for them. You heard Mike Giardi throw out a couple. Who's the best fit in your mind?
Wow. I mean, it's got to be somebody that's going to protect the football, somebody that's tough, smart, accurate, and who's a leader. So when you look at the available free agents, you got Cam Newton, you got Andy Dalton. Nick Foles is already gone. I'm not sure if he was an option, and maybe a quarterback in the trade, like a Derek Carr, somebody of that sort. You got to be able to come into New England, digest a lot of information. You got to understand that it may change from week to week. So you got to be versatile. You got to be prepared, and you got to understand that you're going to work. And there's a lot of pressure, not because of Tom Brady that, was there for 20 years and maintained a level of excellence, but they expect to win. Playoffs is just average in New England. So you got to come in and be able to understand that you're going to have a lot of pressure. The fans are going to expect it, the staff, and you got to prepare and play a certain way. So those are some names of guys that I think, and just hypothetically speaking, that could be a good fit if they can come in and they all fit pretty much what I talked about, all the characteristics that they're looking for.
Primarily trade options that you mentioned there. They could also go get somebody via the draft. Joe, any of those names that Willie just mentioned stand out to you in particular?
Well, I think Cam Newton might be interesting because I really believe that after Lamar Jackson mollywopped the defense of the New England Patriots last year, Bill Belichick realized that there's a changing of the guard on offense in the NFL, and it's going to be all about the dual threat quarterback. And he's been salivating at the thought of being able to develop an offense around a dual threat quarterback because he knows the problems that it gives a defense. And so a guy like Cam Newton that could come in, if he's healthy, could be exactly that type of person. But also, if you look into the draft, a guy like a Jalen Hurts, who could be available there towards the end of the second round. The Patriots have a few third-round picks and a boatload of late-round picks that they could kind of package together and go up and get a guy like Jalen Hurts with a second-round pick potentially, who is that dual-threat quarterback. He's a guy that he is familiar with because of his work in Alabama. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick are very close, and he could give him some inside information on Jalen Hurts. And, Jalen Hurts might be that type of guy that could sit back there behind maybe Cody Kessler or Stidham, or even an Andy Dalton who comes in on a 1 or 2 year deal. And Bill Belichick has the opportunity to develop Jalen Hurts and kind of nurture him and mold a great offense around him. I think Bill Belichick is excited for that type of a challenge.
I'm noticing with some of the names that are being thrown out here, Cam Newton, we'd have to wait on medicals. Derek Carr, we'd probably have to wait until after the draft because they'd have to figure out the Raiders if they could draft a quarterback to take his place, a draft option. Are we not in any hurry, do you think, Willie? Or might it be a while before we get an answer on New England's quarterback?
Well, they're going to take their time. They're not going to rush the process. They got to make sure whatever guy that they're bringing in is the right fit, and they're going to do their due diligence, which they probably already started, knowing that this time or this thing with Tom Brady moving on could possibly happen. Like I've always talked about the Patriots and their staff, they're always well organized, well calculated, and well prepared for any situation that may happen. We prided ourselves on being prepared and, for different situations that may take place. So you're right. They're going to be patient. You heard Mike Giardi talk about it, being patient, making sure they're making the right moves. And like Joe mentioned, too, they've got draft picks to move around, and they're going to find the right guy. But they're going to talk to people and make sure that it's a good fit for Josh McDaniels, this offense, and the guy that they're bringing in can handle what they're able to do from week in and week out.
One name that I did not hear either of you guys say that I've heard elsewhere, Jameis Winston. So I think that's kind of interesting. Oh, that's a hard no.
You know what? It might be an interesting thing. A few things would have to happen, but potentially Derek Carr getting traded to New England and the Raiders picking up and signing Jameis Winston. I think John Gruden might really like to work with a guy like Jameis Winston. He's always had a lot of ego about his ability to develop other people's quarterbacks. So keep an eye out for that one. It's an outside chance, but you never know.
But again, one more time for the folks in the back, Willie, that was a hard head shake. Okay, on Jameis in New England.
What would Willie know about the Patriots? Come on.
Thank you very much, guys. Still ahead, Nick Foles can claim one season with the second best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history, another season with a Super Bowl MVP, and then there are years